Hey, Oak Hill family, I pray that you are doing well, and I want you to know I cannot wait to see you again. As a pastor, being with God's people is honestly one of the greatest joys of my life. And these last 8 weeks have been very trying to me, as I know they have been for many of you. So I thought it was time to share our current best thinking for our congregation as we move towards the future together. While I know that many businesses and restaurants are beginning to open again, churches and schools are different. First and foremost, we are not in the money-making business, so that is not the motivating reason for why or how we make our decisions. We are in the caring for people business, and if that's true, then we have to make decisions based on what's best for you and not what's best for business. So I wanted to walk you through our current plan and try to explain the what, when, and why. Like you, I am so ready to be back with our church family. I've missed the daily handshakes, the hugs, the breakfast and lunch meetings, all the appointments. Our church is a loving church, and we, like any good family, we love being together. So please know, as we move closer to reassembling together, there are still steps that we need to take to ensure that we are following national and state guidelines. Knowing that these days present new information weekly, here's our current best thinking. Our desire is to have a plan in place with the full understanding that all of it could change. There's fluidity to all that we're going through. Having something like this that everyone can reference allows us to do a few things. We're able to pray with direction and move towards the immediate future together. So I want you to look at this triangle. This really may help visually best explain our thinking. This is a plan that our staff has combed over, as has our elders. As you can see, we are committed to the leadership of the Holy Spirit. Why? Because He knows best, and we are dedicated to walking with full reliance on Him. We also have to consider the external guidelines set in place by our national and state authorities. Walking under the leadership of the Holy Spirit and governing authorities, we are doing our very best to place the Oak Hill family in the best possible place to worship safely. This is all centered around the errorless guidance of the Holy Spirit as He leads us in all wisdom. So we've taken a two-phase approach to this time. Phase 1 began the week that we all became aware that life as we knew it was being placed on hold. At that time, we had to pause, pivot, and become fully reliant on the medium of online programming. Wednesday nights, ladies' Bible studies, all meeting in person was immediately placed on pause. Our pivot was moving away from all that we had honestly taken for granted in meeting in person to being fully online from preschool through all adults. Our media team has done an amazing job of improving our online presence, and I'm grateful for Ken and Jess Couch, as I know you are, and how they've brought so much excellence to our church in this area. Right now, we are entering phase 2. Originally, we were going to try and begin meeting this month, but Governor Kemp extended the shelter-in-place order last week from May 15th to June 12th. And that was for all seniors, which is 65 and up, and for the medically fragile. As cases continue to drop and restrictions are removed, I believe that we could be on campus all together by August, but even that is just a goal. We've been meeting online since March 15th, and to me, it feels like an eternity ago. Our Oak Hill family has responded to this drastic change with such a sweet spirit. Our groups have taken lemons, and they've made the best lemonade. I've loved seeing kids gather online, as well as some of our most seasoned saints as we have gotten better at this thing that we call Zoom. Beginning June 14th, we will start back with what we are called scaled worship services. We will also give groups the option to meet on campus, but probably not in their regular classrooms due to the social distancing guidelines that are still in place. Pastor Raymond has made the difficult call, but the one that I think is wisest at this time, to have a modified VBS that will be online. Kids matter at Oak Hill, and because they do, we have to make plans for them considering where we are right now. Pastor Trent has been working on camp, and right now beach camp is still on, but honestly, we are unsure what the days ahead will bring. Our goal is to provide opportunities for our church family to gather while maintaining appropriate health safety measures. Since Governor Kemp moved the shelter in place for all seniors to June 12th, the earliest that we would meet together for worship will be June 14th. I simply cannot imagine a scenario where our staff would stand at the doors of our church and stop senior adults from coming in. Groups would be allowed to meet in person on campus beginning the next day, June 15th. I'll explain more about that here in a moment. There are 4 key principles that we have considered while making this plan. First is we are committed to being flexible. From day one, our church body has embraced this difficult time with a sweet spirit. We must continue to remain flexible as the information and concerns change from day to day. Secondly, is being proactive. We will continue to communicate with small groups, Sunday school classes, and church members as information comes available. Thirdly, we want to be safe. We are not only concerned about your spiritual health, but also your physical health. Because of that, we are doing all that we can to ensure proper guidelines are followed. And lastly, remaining missional. We are called to be the church, and we've been actively engaged with organizations in our community that have found themselves in need and will continue to do so as needs arise. So let's talk about Sunday school classes and groups and what that means looking towards getting back together. The number restrictions are based around the percentage capacity of the meeting spaces as noted by national and state leaders. Our classes will be given the opportunity to meet on campus during the evenings and during the daytime if that works better for some classes or possibly even our senior adult population. This will begin on Monday, June 15th. The locations that we have identified as being large enough to accommodate groups are the following: the Activity Center, the Choir Suite, the Student Center, the Children's Ministry, W201, which is also known as the Loft, and our foyer. These spaces will allow us to meet and still maintain proper distancing. As you can see on the map, which we will make available online, each of these spaces have their own entrances and exits. They also have their own restrooms. And the beauty in this is this allows multiple groups to meet at the same time. There are external guidelines based on the CDC and governing authorities that we are trying to honor, which families are still being asked to maintain social distance measures, and those that are ill are asked to stay home and join online through Facebook Live or Zoom. Because of those external guidelines, our internal guidelines come out of a desire to have people together while also being wise as we gather. We are asking all groups to choose to meet to limit their time together to 75 minutes or less. All teachers or group leaders will need to call the church office to register a time and space. Based on the number in your group and availability, our office will pick the space that will best serve you. Each time a group meets, the entire space will be cleaned and disinfected so that it is safe to use for the next group that will come. Kids don't understand social distancing, and so sadly there will be no child care provided. As noted earlier, each venue will have its own entrance, exit, and restrooms. There will be no food or drink served in the classes for obvious reasons, and a staff member will be there to help attendees should the group need anything. Groups that choose to meet on campus should also plan to live stream or Zoom from that location so that others who choose to remain home can join and not feel alienated. Please hear my heart on this. Should your group not want to meet in person at this time, or should your class meet and you don't feel quite ready to join them, you are fine. This isn't a test of faith, and I will not allow it to become that. You do what's best for you. And when you're ready, come back. Let's talk about our scaled worship services that will begin Sunday, June 14th. Again, the 14th is the best date as seniors are supposed to shelter in place until June 12th. There will be no Sunday school classes on Sunday mornings right now. We look forward possibly later in the summer when restrictions are lifted to gather again, but for now, Sundays will be for worship services only. We will offer 2 worship times so that we can ensure proper distancing takes place. The first service will be at 9:30 and the second service will be at 11. We are asking all who come to either of these worship services to use the triple glass doors in the foyer, as these will be the only entrance and exits available on Sunday mornings. Please plan to park on the worship side of the building. Again, these internal guidelines are due to the external guidelines that we have been asked to follow for now. So that we can ensure we do not exceed our venue maximum, attenders will register online for their desired worship time. We will have something in place that will allow us to do that so that we can have a working idea of how many we should expect. This can also be done by calling the church office. Worship services will not exceed an hour. I know that's hard for you to believe, but I promise. Our worship center will be disinfected between each of the services to ensure that we are doing all we can to keep you safe. There will not be any childcare or age group programming on Sunday mornings. No groups of any kind. Offering boxes will be available to those who choose to give in person. Those who would like to continue to drop off, mail in, or give online are still encouraged to do so. We will not be offering any coffee services during this time. So please know, no one's happy about this time that we're in, but we are all in this together. Like all churches around our city and in the world, we are trying to do our very best to love our people and take care of them. I know this isn't ideal, but it also isn't forever. And if you would rather stay home and worship with us online, I want you to know we understand. We will all be together again one day, but until then, we are trying to do what's best for our church because we love you. I want to let you know something else. For the last 8 weeks, as we've been given an invitation, every Sunday we've had people respond to the gospel. God has used this time to see people pass from death to life. And I know June 14th seems like a long ways off, but I can tell you, based on my meetings with other pastors in our area, because of our love for senior adults and children and generally our whole church population, this is about the time that all churches in our area should be meeting as well. We're doing this and looking forward to a time when we can be together, we can worship the Lord our God together, we can grow together, and one day we'll be able to shake hands, high five, fist bump, and hug. But until then, we're trying to do our very best to ensure safety for all of our people. Love God, love people, and very soon, even today, be the church.